how to create amazing colourful designs using the pattern script Symmetry effect in Photoshop. Something like that. That's using an embellishment fleur-de-lis design that I created in my brushes set. I'll show you some examples in a sec. Key panels for this: layers, patterns, as well as history, so you can undo. Always very useful. You can find them all via the window menu. I always use layers generally. Don't always remember to do it, but I normally go to Layer menu and New Layer. And the thing about layers, you can always turn them into smart objects, apply effects, remove them, move them, and much, much more. Now these fleur-de-lis designs, like say, are brushes, were brushes I should say, but I've actually turned them also into a patterns design set. And they're all grayscale, generally grayscale, a few colourful ones as well, but they're all grayscale because you can get the whole range of different colours using the grayscale settings. Most also use gradients as well, creates lovely depth effects. So edit menu and fill, and just select one of those pattern designs. Most of these were created using custom shapes, fleur-de-lis custom shape designs, and then adding a layer style, such as a bevel, a gradient overlay, as well as a stroke, etc. Once you set the pattern, symmetry fill to be on the script, run that, and now you get a second panel. What you can then do is change the scale, and the reason I change the scale is so you can make certain that you make it small enough you can actually fit it on that layer. Otherwise it just goes over the edge if it's too high. You've got colour randomness. If you set that to 0, you can see it's grayscale. Now the preview, unfortunately, is not very good. It's very small. You can't zoom into the preview. You can get all different kinds of designs simply by changing the translation settings, that width and the height. So just run through, experiment those settings. And there's your grayscale design. Literally hundreds of different designs can be generated from that pattern design by changing the width and height. Hold down the Alt or Option key and drag. And what you can then do is fill that document with that design. So you can just keep repeating that a number of times. You can also turn them into a smart object via the Layer menu and convert to smart object. And then apply effects, apply adjustments, scale them, apply transformations. So you can create some very abstract backgrounds just simply by doing that. And then flatten it or convert the whole lot into a smart object and apply effects to that. But what I'm going to show in this tutorial mainly is the colour setting. So I'm setting the colour randomness to high. And that's why I've gone for the grayscale pattern sources. If you create them in yellow or green, etc., what happens is you end up more green than... You might want that, of course, but I want a full range of colours. So again, script is on, symmetry fill, and pattern option, and the custom pattern. And again, you can change scale. You can also change the height and width. And I'm using 7 for the symmetry type, but I can show you 8. That's quite useful as well. 9 is not so effective. I mean, 9's great. It's great for creating frame designs. But I find it a little bit more uncontrollable, the end result. Whereas 7 and 8 really work really nicely. 8 is the reverse of 7. A variation, as it calls it. And again, just run through, experiment with the width and height. And colour randomness set max. Just run it. Now, if the design is too great, and if you can see in this case, the scale was too big, it's just gone over the edge. You can always undo if you don't want that. You can also remove the layer. That's the thing about layers, always remove them. You can also move the design and much, much more. Again, go to Layer and New Layer. Click OK. So you've got another layer now, and you can combine those. You can use blending modes in the Layers panel. change the custom pattern. Now use the same thing, Symmetry fill. Click OK. And again, the same sort of thing. This one actually is a flattened design. So there's no gradient there. I think personally works nicer with a gradient included in the design. Depends what you want. Again, just change the width, change heights, and you can see these lovely designs sort of spreading out with sort of starburst flower design. And you can see it twisting, just changing the height and width. Now, one trouble with having a shadow sometimes is that you end up with the shadow in the pattern source. You end up with a very black central part. It's not so bad when the black is around the edge, but it doesn't look so good when the black is in the center, unless you want a black hole effect. Change the brightness, randomness, and all those things, and there's your design again. And again, if you want it as a design in the center, and you want to say like duplicate design, obviously probably best go back, just undo it, or go and create a new layer, and change the scale. So instead of going for 1.2 or 1.1, etc., what you can do, change that to 0.6 or something smaller, so it doesn't go over the edge. Just reduce it down a bit. Unfortunately, the preview is not so helpful. It's okay, but it would be nice if it was interactive on the screen, but it's not. So you have to run it, and then you see the end result. And again, what you can do, Alt or Option key, and drag, and just fill the design with that document. So you can create a really lovely, unusual stained glass effect. Very abstract stained glass, but it's a very colourful design. And you can convert the whole lot into a smart object, or maybe a single layer into a smart object. Resize it. Use the liquify in the filter menu. Maybe add layer menu and layer styles. Add a bevel. Change the depth. Add a shadow. So you can just see a shadow there. Just quickly add a shadow. Also go to stroke. Add a stroke to it. Once you're happy with your design, and of course you can apply styles as well. So you can go to the styles panel and apply those to that design. And again, you can duplicate that and fill the entire screen with that design and apply effects. So filter menu is a smart object. So filter, stylize, and oil paint. Set the stylization, etc. high. Click OK. So you've got an oil paint effect added to that lovely colourful design. Rosette design. And that also can be turned into a three-dimensional design as well, using the 3D menu. A whole range of different things can be done using that design. Now I'm going to just go clear that now. I don't want that. So layer and new layer. Click OK. Edit and fill. And that's the key command, edit and fill command. And change the pattern again. And there's a whole range of different designs. What I find also works nicely is creating a design we made 2 or 3 copies within the design. So the pattern source has like 2 or 3 of the same design. Or maybe different designs, maybe add some text into it as well. And then you've got gain, change back. And this is another problem with the shadow. This design has got a shadow, pattern source. So what happens, it ends up getting very dark in the center sometimes. So just change the settings of the heights and widths until you're happy with the design. So it removes that. But then sometimes that shadow really adds some real nice depth. You've got a lovely twirl design there. It's real quite effective. But without the shadow, it wouldn't work as well. So that shadow is really useful. Again, you can go for the 8 instead. And so you can create, again, the shadow is really powerful there. And of course, you can use the other ones as well. I'm showing you 7, 8, and 9. But there are lots of other options, and I will run through those in other videos. And they're very effective as well. That one's, I think, less useful, but it creates a really nice sort of frame design. But it's very hard to eliminate, again, that black center, sometimes a bit extreme. So just experiment with the width and height. Click OK for a lovely zoom effect. that centre with that lovely scroll design there and the shadow. So it gives it real depth that it falls into the image. And what you can also do, you can go to the tools and go for an elliptical marquee tool. Just create a selection and apply it. Could obviously just copy and paste that design. But also what you can do, you can go to edit and fill and run the edit and fill into that selection. Use the same design if you wish. Click OK, and you've got that design there. And what you can then do is, of course, copy the layer, duplicate it, Alt-Option key, and fill the design with that single layer. And again, what you can then do, of course, it's a layer, so you can use blending modes. So you can go to the blending modes, maybe have it as difference or darken. So layer and flatten image. So you've got your very colourful design there. What you can also do, you can also use edit and fill. And there's also a fade fill. So go and run so edit menu and fill with that pattern script. Select a different pattern. Click OK. You can see the design there. If you're happy with all the settings, go and change the height, width, change the scale. Click OK. You've got the design there. But what you can then do is go to edit and you've got the fade fill command. So you can fade it. And you can then use the opacity, set the opacity to say 50%, or maybe use darken for the blending mode, or multiply, or difference. Just run through them, just try them out. The colour combinations, you can create all kinds of extreme colourful designs. Something like that. Once you've done that, what you can then do is go to the filter menu and oil paint, or liquefy, or maybe save it to another document and then use filters effects in another application. Maybe like Photo Donut. That's a very useful one for creating all kinds of amazing designs. So apply oil paint a few times. It'd be really nice if Photoshop had a few more filters like oil paint, very similar variations of oil paint. Sadly, it doesn't. That's really as far as it goes. I mean, you've got the filter gallery. So edit and fill, and symmetry fill, but there's also options there for random fill. Now, the one thing about you've got spiral as well. Spiral is really good. Random fill is good. But random fill never matches the preview. If you're going to go with place along path, you need a path. So you can use all these designs, these lovely shadow or gradient designs that you create. You can use them with other options. So it's not just, so in this case, I'm using the pen tool, using the path option at the top left. Press escape to stop the path. And then edit and fill. So you don't have to use symmetry fill. Symmetry fill is great, but you can also use place along path. And again, change the design. You can then change the settings for the spacing, change the scale. The preview doesn't really match the end result, so it's probably not as good. Again, color randomness, set that to. Well, what you can do then, click OK, and you can see the result there. Of course, it's very hard to see it in this time. There is actually a generated design along that path. If you created that on a layer, you could then capture that using the edit menu and define pattern, or via the patterns panel, define that as a pattern, and then use that within the symmetry fill. So how to create a design. So I'm obviously not going to show you how to create the fleur-de-lis design. They were all created in Illustrator, and will take a lot longer just to run through that. But create a document like 1000 by 1000, 1000 by there, 2000 by 2000, 300 resolution, transparent, and click OK. And just use the curvature tool, or maybe the ellipse tool, or the pen tool. And use the option in the corner, make some let's path. should say shape. Not very helpful having it pass. Doesn't really matter though. So shape and new layer. Because what you want to do is create a shape. And just click, go around. It's there. Just go around all the way. Now that does not look like a fleur-de-lis design, I know. But it's just what I'm showing is just create some nice little curling designs. Some bulbous designs in it as well. So you've got fairly abstract design. It doesn't look anything like a fleur-de-lis. But you could apply. It's probably easier to use something like Illustrator to create the fleur-de-lis. But I'm going to show you examples of how I created the designs in the end. So layer menu and layer style, and go with a bevel. Bevels are always really nice. Gives it a bit of depth. Change the size. Change the angle. Gradient overlay. Now, I generally in all these videos, been going with just black and white. Very simple, black and white, a grayscale design. That's one of the default gradients. Just use that. And also set a stroke and add a shadow as well, a drop shadow. Now, a drop shadow comes with a whole range of different options. So you can add a stroke to that. Click OK. What you can also do, you can convert that into, say, layer menu and convert it into a smart object. And then add additional layer effects to it, as well as filters. So oil paint. And much, much more. So what you can then do, go to the patterns panel, right side menu, and create a new pattern preset. And then you've got your design there. Now the edit menu define pattern doesn't seem to work often. For some weird reason, doesn't add it into there. So again, layer and create a new layer. Edit and fill. And select the pattern you just created. There's the pattern source right at the bottom. And instead of place along path, don't want to use that. Want symmetry fill and script on. And once you're happy with that, click OK. And there's your design. That's that lovely curved design. It creates nice sort of, and changing the pattern scale, changing the height and width, you can see straight away, or even from a very simple, very abstract 5-second design, you can create sort of unusual designs. And again, you can use 7 as the symmetry type as well, and run through those again with the height and width. And I've got colour randomness set to high, as well as brightness as well set to high. And you've got your design there. Lovely spiral design there. All kinds of designs can be created from a very simple. You can maybe create an ellipse, a simple ellipse, and use the curvature tool to maybe warp that design. Now that layer can be then resized, duplicated, modified. Effects can be applied to it. You don't always have to have that spiral going into the centre. That's one trouble with this. There's no way of controlling where the spiral centre is. It'd be a really nice feature if it was available to edit that. But you can always do it by creating a layer and just shifting it around. Apply filter effects as well. Now I've got that design there that I've just created a few seconds just by clicking on using the curvature tool. But I'm going to show you the custom shapes. These are the source designs. This was the fleur-de-lis design set, created ages ago, about 2008. Yeah, it's quite a few years ago, nearly 12 years ago. Now I'm using it as a shape layer, so you can just see there as a shape layer. So it's just a general shape layer there. And again, grayscale at this point. Layer style. Yeah, you see the thing. Or you can just change it to a gradient via that top left. Just change the fill setting to a gradient. Use one of the default grayscale gradients. And you've got your design there. So layer and layer style. Add a shadow. I mean, sometimes what happens is also nice to create ones maybe with a with no fill at all and just have the shadow. That creates some interesting designs, or maybe add to stroke. You don't have to add the bevel either. Now, you could use the edit menu and define pattern, but I found that doesn't seem to work as well for some weird reason. So I always go to the patterns panel and right side menu and new pattern preset. And then you can see the pattern there you just generated. So go back to a completely fresh document there. Layer and new layer if you want to create a new layer. Don't have to, of course. So edit menu and fill. Go and select your pattern. You can always undo that and just apply it again very quickly. So that pattern's been selected. Click OK. And there's the design there. Again, what you can do, just change the settings. Just change the heights, change the width. Literally hundreds of different combinations can be generated just by changing those settings. Very subtle changes. Click OK. And you've got your design there. Again, what you can do, go and apply filters, effects to it, apply adjustments, and many, many more. Edit and fill. So I'll just quickly show again. Same design, click OK. And go for, this time, 8. Change the scale if you wish. Change the width and heights. Now, sometimes it will work better. Sometimes, as I say, you end up with this black because of the shadow. So you might have to tweak the heights and width. Just experiment. Once you've got that, there's the design there. So that's a really beautiful design, created from a very, very basic vector design with a gradient and a shadow. As simple as that. Hope you found this tutorial of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extra channel, always adding new tutorials about Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. Any comments, always appreciated. A dislike or like. Thank you much.